When you work with couples, you learn pretty quickly that you're not a mechanic fixing a car. Not at all. It's more like you're witnessing this incredibly messy, beautiful, and sometimes really painful dance. Today, we're going to dive right into that dance. We'll follow the story of one couple and see how the raw, painful stuff, their conflict, can be, believe it or not, alchemically transformed into something like gold, a totally renewed, conscious relationship.
And this, right here, this is our guiding star for this whole journey. This idea from Carl Jung. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. It's this radical idea that no matter how stuck you feel, no matter what crazy loop you're trapped in, we always have the power to choose a new way forward. And that, right there, is the absolute heart of transformation for ourselves as individuals and, of course, for our relationships.
So let's meet our couple. This is Mike and Sally. And on the surface, everything looks great. He's a respected pastor, she's his dedicated wife. They love each other for sure. But underneath all that, wow, they are just trapped. Trapped in this painful, repeating cycle of conflict that they just cannot break out of. Their story, which is actually way more common than you'd think, is the perfect case study for us to really dig into the deep work we're talking about today. Okay, so first things first. We have to understand what the problem really is. And spoiler alert, it's not about pointing fingers. It's not about finding the bad guy. It's about seeing the invisible pattern that has them both in its grip. This slide, this right here, is a huge shift in thinking. For the longest time, we saw relationship problems in a straight line, what we call linear causality. You did this, so I did that. You made me angry. It's just a blame game, right? But the real breakthrough is seeing it as a circle, circular causality. The problem isn't Mike, and the problem isn't Sally. The problem is the pattern, the dance they are stuck in together. Think about it. The more I pull you close, the more you pull away, which makes me pull even closer. See? It's a loop. They're both trapped in the same system, and neither one of them can see the steps anymore. To really grasp how deep this connection goes, Jung gave us this brilliant metaphor, the rhizome. So picture a forest. From above ground, you just see a bunch of separate trees, right? But what's happening underneath? Oh, it is a whole other world. There's this massive, hidden web of roots, all interconnected, all communicating. If one tree gets sick, the whole system knows about it. That is a relationship. That's Mike and Sally. On a level they can't even see, in their shared unconscious, they are profoundly linked, living this one single systemic life together. So if we're going to navigate this hidden, underground world, we need a map. We need a way to understand our own inner landscape, and a fantastic one comes from the work of John Beebe. He developed this incredible model of archetypes that basically gives us a cast of characters living inside each and every one of us. So, Beebe's model gives us 8 main roles, or archetypes. Think of it like this. The top 4, those are the conscious ones. That's the inner family we think we are. You've got the hero or heroine leading the charge, the good parent looking out for us, the playful eternal child, and the anima, or animus, our inner soul figure. But then there's the other half, the unconscious part, the shadow. And down there, you've got 4 more characters who are often pulling the strings from behind the curtain, without us even realizing it. All right, let's look at Mike's inner team. His lead character, his hero, is all about extroverted thinking. The perfect pop culture example? Batman. He's the logical planner, the guy who uses strategy and order to fight chaos. And his number 2, his parent archetype, is what we call introverted sensing. This is the part of him that's the quiet protector, the one who pays super close attention to the facts and details to keep everyone safe. Now, Sally's inner family? A totally different vibe. Her heroine, her primary function, is introverted feeling. She's like a high priestess, She moves through the world based on this deep internal compass of what feels right, of her core values. And her parent archetype, that's extroverted intuition. She doesn't parent with facts and details like Mike does. She parents with vision, with possibilities, always seeing the big picture of where things could go. So you see the setup, right? You've got Team Mike, the logical Batman, and you've got Team Sally, the intuitive high priestess. And this is where the war begins. This is where that devastating cycle really kicks into high gear. Okay, so here's how the trap springs. Mike gets stressed. What happens? His protective parent archetype jumps into the driver's seat. That's his introverted sensing. So he tries to calm things down by getting super focused on the concrete details. Let's just look at the facts. What's happening right here, right now? But here's the crazy part.
That very thing he does to help, focusing on facts, it lands right on Sally's vulnerable child archetype. Because for her, introverted sensing isn't a strength, it's a tender spot. So when Mike tries to parent the situation with all his details, all she feels, unconsciously, is that she's a little kid being told what to do, being corrected and managed.
Now let's flip it, because it's a two-way street. Sally feels misunderstood, unheard, so her parent archetype takes over. For her, that's extroverted intuition, so she tries to help by soaring up high, talking about the future, the possibilities, the big picture vision of it all.
And where does that land for Mike? Bam, right on his child archetype. Because for him, extroverted intuition is that playful, impulsive part of him. So when she starts talking about all these grand possibilities, from his point of view, it sounds totally ungrounded, maybe even a little reckless. He feels like he's trying to have a serious conversation with a creative but kind of irresponsible kid who's got her head in the clouds.
And there it is. That's the toxic loop. You see what's happening? They're caught in this archetypal crossfire. He unconsciously becomes her parent, and she unconsciously becomes his. They're parenting and childing each other. I mean, just think about it. Who wants to be married to their parent or their child? It's the absolute killer of passion, of intimacy, of a real partnership.
So what happens when this toxic cycle just spins and spins and spins? Well, the conscious parts of them, the parts they think are in control, they just get worn out, exhausted. And that is when the basement door of the psyche flies open. The shadow comes out to play. For Mike, his Batman persona fails, and in his place comes his polar opposite, the cynical, destructive Joker. And for Sally, the High Priestess is overwhelmed, and out comes her shadow, this raging, uncontrollable beast. And that's when things get really, really ugly.
So, how in the world do you fix this? How do you heal something this deep? Well, the answer comes from a very old, very mysterious place, the ancient art of alchemy. And listen, the alchemists weren't just some guys in a lab trying to make gold out of lead. Not really. What they were actually mapping out was a profound process for psychological and spiritual transformation.
First rule of alchemy: you need a safe container. You need a vessel that can handle the heat. The alchemists called it their retort. Joan gave it a beautiful name, the Temenos, a sacred, protected space. In our world, that's the therapy room. It's this container that has to be strong enough to hold all the pressure, all the heat of this transformation, so that the couple can cook without exploding, and so nothing from the outside world can get in and contaminate the process.
And this whole alchemical journey, it happens in 4 basic stages. First, you have to go into the darkness. That's the negretto, the blackening. This is where you face the shadow. It's about Mike and Sally finally owning their inner Joker and inner beast. Then, after the darkness comes the albedo, the whitening. This is purification. It's where they start to see, maybe for the first time, oh, that's not you, that's my projection onto you. Next is the citronitis, the yellowing, like the sun coming up. This is where wisdom starts to dawn. And finally, you get the rubedo, the reddening, the color of blood, of passion, of life. This is rebirth. This is when they return to life, whole and reconnected.
So after all that work, all that heat and pressure, what do you get? What's the result? Well, I can tell you one thing. You don't go back to the way things were. You create something completely new, forged in fire.
The final masterpiece of this whole process is what the alchemists called the coniunctio, or the alchemical wedding. This is so much more than just making up. It's a sacred union. It's 2 whole people who have done the hard work of facing their own shadows, finally coming together consciously. All that raw material, all that lead of their conflict, has literally been transformed into the gold of a real, conscious connection. And guess what? The chemistry, that spark, it's back, but on a whole new level.
You know, there's this perfect final image for this whole process. It's a Japanese art form called kintsugi. They repair broken pottery, but instead of hiding the cracks, they fill them with gold. The whole idea is that the bowl is more beautiful, more valuable, because it was broken. The cracks aren't a flaw to be hidden, they're part of its story, illuminated in gold. And that's a healed relationship. The scars, the broken places, they don't disappear. They become the strongest, most beautiful parts of the bond.
So I'll just leave you with this to think about. In the alchemical vessel of your own life, your own relationships, what's the raw material? What's that challenging, difficult, maybe even painful stuff that's just sitting there, waiting to be looked at, waiting to be honored, and maybe, just maybe, waiting to be transformed into gold?